Hello and welcome back. Quickly in this video, we are going to just see the table column headers that we're going to have in our auth service MySQL table. And then we go to the Sequelize documentation to see how we can create a model. So for our auth service authentication table in MySQL, these are the table header fields we are going to have. Okay. Now we are going to have the ID is going to be auto-generated. It's possible you can create your own IDs, but we are going to allow MySQL to create the IDs. Okay, they're going to be auto-incremented. And then we're going to have a username. Okay, as usual, we already said that. And then we have a profile public ID. Now we're going to generate this profile public ID because of the image we are going to add to Cloudinary. When we were creating the Cloudinary uploads function in the shared library section, I made mention of Cloudinary creating public IDs, or you as a developer, you can create your own public ID. Okay, so we are going to generate our own public IDs for the user profile picture. Okay, and then we have the email field, we have the password, we require the country. So when the user is creating an account, they will need to select a country. Okay, and then the profile picture of the user. Okay, and then we're going to have this email verification token. Okay, so when the user creates an account, there's going to this token. We are going to generate this email verification token, and that is the token that we're going to add to the template. That is the email template. So when they click on it from their email account, it will open up on the browser, and then from the React application, we are going to open up the page, then use that token. So that token will be used to verify the user. Okay, and then we have this email verified field. Now this field is going to be a boolean, but I think in MySQL booleans are usually represented with 0 or 1. Okay, so it's normally going to be a boolean. 0, I think 0 for false, 1 for true. Okay, so by default it's going to be 0. That means the user has not verified. Once the user verifies their account, then we update it to 1. And then we have the created art property. And then the password reset token and password expires. This will be set if the user wants to change their password when they are already logged in. So these are the different fields that we are going to use that will be available in our MySQL table. We are only going to create one table. Okay, so we're not going to have multiple tables. Because of that, we are not going to have too many complex queries. Okay, we are just only going to have one table. If maybe you build an application with multiple tables, then you can try using more complex query like the transactions. Okay, now let us go to the documentation page for Sequelize to see how we can create a model. So on the Sequelize page, okay, using the current version, we already installed, we already created our database. Okay, we've not tested the connection yet. Okay, but to test the connection, we already done all of this. We've not tested the connection. If you want to close the connection, you can do this. But what we are interested in right now is models. How do we create models? Now, I have said that if you have an experience with Mongoose and MongoDB, seeing models defined using Sequelize should be easy for you to understand because they almost follow the same pattern. Okay, so it says models are the essence of Sequelize. Is the abstraction that represents a table in your database. Okay, and now to define a model here, okay, you just call sequelize.define. Okay, and then you pass your table name. Okay, and then you can pass your properties and the different types. Okay, so first name here, first name is going to be of data type string. Allow for a null, we set it to false. That means the table will not allow if the first name field is empty. Okay, or it's null. You have last name the same. Okay, so you called Sequelize.define and pass in your table name. And there are other properties as well that you can call. You can extend a model. Okay, and then if you scroll down, let's see for other fields. Table name inference. Okay, this is to define the table. Okay, here it says you can probably table name. You can define the table name directly. Okay, so the database and then the table, and then here we are going to use this this sync function. Okay, now it's calling the table, then dot sync, or the model. Okay, so the model dot sync, it says this creates the table if it doesn't exist, okay, and does nothing if it already exists. Okay, so we are going to use this dot sync. Now for testing purposes, maybe if you want to clear the data in your table, you are going to add this property false set to true. Okay, so it's going to drop the table. We're only going to use this if maybe you want to just clear the table and maybe add some new data. Okay, but for production, I don't think it will make any sense to add this. Okay, so you're not going to add this when you're going to production, because if you add this, if there's a change and the model is restarted, it's going to drop the table. Okay, and then you can alter the table. This checks what is the current state of the table in the database. Okay, so we're going to see how to use this as well. Here you can see the table for the model was just recreated. So if you call false set to true, it's going to recreate the table. It will drop the previous table and then create a new table. Okay, if you already have data in it, you will lose all the data. Okay, and yeah, you can also call drop to drop the table. These are some other properties you can use. And then you have the timestamps. Okay, timestamps set to false, or you can set it to true. Okay, now if you set, I think we'll try set this to true, because I never tried this. Okay, I just created the used the created art myself, added it, but we'll set these timestamps to true maybe and see what happens. Okay, and then there are other things you can go through. This models, how to define models. Now the data types. Okay, we are going to use different data types, but mostly they are all going to likely be strings. You have the string data type of length 255, var or varchar 255. You have a longer string. Okay, you have a binary type. You have a text, tiny text. This is for Postgres. Okay, you have a Boolean type. Now for like I said, for MySQL, the booleans will be represented as 0 and 1. Normally it's true, false, but it is represented as 0 and 1. And then for numbers, you have the integer type, big int, float, real, double, decimal. Okay, but this real is usually for Postgres. Okay, there's the date type, there's the UUID types. Okay, so these are just some of the options we're going to use when creating our models, and then later we'll start to see how we can query the models, how we can insert, how we can query data. And one other important thing we need to look at indexes. Okay, how to create index. Now creating indexes are very, very important. Okay, to just summarize and give you an idea of what indexes do. Indexes help you to search through a table quickly. Okay, imagine you have a table with 1 billion rows. Okay, now if you don't have index on any of the columns, if you try to search for the 1 billion data or the 1 billionth row, it's going to go through each row one after the other, and that might take a lot of time. But if you have indexes, let's say you want to search for a user by the email, and the user you want to search for is the 1 billionth user. Now, based on the index, okay, the index, based on how it is defined, it will just shorten the time. It's going to check from the first 10 million. It will check the first 10 million. The data is not there to discard that. It will go to the next 10 million just like that. So the index will enable the search to be faster, unlike if you don't have an index in the table. But you have to be very careful. If you have too many indexes, it can still slow down your database queries, okay? Because indexes, they take up some space in your table. So you have to be very, very careful. You only have to add indexes to fields that you are 100% sure you will search, okay? So we are going to add indexes also to our own table. At this point, okay, we are going to stop here. In the next video, we'll start creating our own model.